Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today we got a couple small little stories I want to discuss with you guys. I do want to dive right into this. So, kicking it off first, a little thing I want to add on. If you're a fan of Steven Yeun, who played Glenn from The Walking Dead, he's been tapped for the Twilight Zone reboot. I'm interested in that. Now, if you want to read the article, you can go ahead and read the article. I don't care. As long as I know he's in it, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to keep an eye on it, specifically because he's in it. I would probably check it out anyway, just because that was on all the time when I was growing up on TV. So I'm definitely curious about checking that out. Anyway, first thing up I want to discuss officially for The Walking Dead is this massive lawsuit that we've been hearing about for a few years now. It was Frank Darabont, the original showrunner. He's the person who brought the Walking Dead comic to AMC and said, hey, you guys want to make this? And they said yes, and yada, yada, yada. And then in season 2, they had a falling out, and he was fired and or quit and or wasn't able to do his job. It depends on who you ask. And then he filed a lawsuit a few years after saying they stiffed him on money and credits and even including Fear the Walking Dead. I guess he should have had some connection to everything moving forward, yada, yada, yada. And then even a year ago, I think now, or maybe a year and a half ago, even Robert Kirkman and some others jumped in. The showrunner from Season 2 and Season 3, Glenn Mazzara, he jumped in with his own lawsuits, and they're all saying that AMC held out on a certain amount of money. Now, it's a complicated thing, and from what some people have said, this is a nice little trick they do in Hollywood to kind of, skim money and keep it for, some loopholes, and keep it for the studio and not give it out to the talent or the producers or whatever, yada, yada, yada. So, this lawsuit, part of it is a bit confusing because it's a bit ambiguous what's going on. However, essentially, it breaks down to Darabont saying he was stiffed of money he's owed and credit he's owed, and it amounts to like $250 million. It's like $250 million, or maybe over $250 million. And the judge made a judgment, summary judgment, which means that they were able to take the factual stuff and they made a judgment on that. But whatever else is in the lawsuit, I guess it's too ambiguous where the judges can't just base their judgment on facts. They got to put it in front of a jury. So this is what the news is now. The update on the trial is the update on the lawsuit. It will be going to trial, and a part of it will be heard by a jury. Now, surprisingly, they don't go into certain details. Maybe they're out there in the articles. I read like 4 or 5 articles. The articles don't go into specific details. Like, for example, the AMC lawyers are saying this is a victory. And I'm trying to, right here it says the judge denied, wait, let me make sure that's, okay, yeah. The judge denied plaintiff's motion for summary judgment outright on the fundamental issue in the case. Now, this is saying the biggest issue. You know what I mean? The judge made a judgment on it. Boom. The judge also awarded summary judgment to AMC on 4 of plaintiff's claims, throwing them out completely. He added, we now look forward to trial where we are confident we will prevail. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, I was reading a bunch of articles trying to see what is the specifics behind that? What is the claim? Like, what is he suing specifically? Which parts of the lawsuit was thrown out? What is the fundamental issue that they're talking about in the case that was thrown out? So you have this fundamental issue, and then you have 4 parts of the plaintiff's claims thrown out completely. And I believe this is new stuff here, but there's still a portion of it that's going to trial that's going to be heard in front of the juries. And my question is, and I'm trying to read these articles and click on different links, and I want to know the details. What parts of the... So if you want to know what parts it is, and if maybe you can find it, you can link it down below. I'm definitely curious to read it. But yeah, if you're still keeping an eye on this case, it's going to court. And it'll be interesting to see if they sound confident, but if this does blow up in their face, it'd be interesting to see if this is going to have some negative effect on the show. We know that AMC is using The Walking Dead to really establish their brand, so if this did go the wrong way, that could be bad news for the show. I'm not saying the show will be canceled or whatever, I'm just saying it might mean like maybe a budget decrease, but that's just insane speculation. I have no clue which way that lawsuit's going to go. But if you want to keep an eye on that, we will definitely, poke in here and there at different updates, especially a big update like it going to trial and then what the jury says. Anyway, this is floating around. A lot of people are talking about Jesus coming back. And I think the biggest thing I pull from Jesus returning, this is something that people said, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. If they're going to show what happened and Jesus was alive back then, like a flashback, what happened with the communities and why they're all beefing and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, that makes sense that Jesus will be in a couple scenes. I don't really feel like that's a big deal. I think it's cool. I don't think we're going to get any, major epic whoa moments. He's probably just going to be in a couple scenes and that's it. Now, as far as the flashbacks, though, that's still something that I gotta say right now, the video's coming out soon. It's the one where I asked you guys about your best theories and speculation for what's going on with the communities and why they're beefing. And I'm still at a loss because none of it makes any damn sense. I mean, it just doesn't make sense at all. Even if they said, okay, Rick died and we're gonna cut ourselves or mark ourselves in honor, that's a bit of a stretch. I just don't see them. I could see Daryl doing it. He's a little unstable, but I don't see Michonne doing that. I don't see, Carol, for example, doing that. We only know of Michonne and Daryl for sure that have the X's. And in the same strength, everyone is so sure that it's a branding from an enemy. And again, in the same strength, let's just say the brand makes sense in a place where no one's going to see it unless maybe they're raping you. I don't understand what kind of brand that is, but let's just say it is a brand. Why would anybody be mad at Michonne for killing someone who branded them and who attacked the community? Because it goes hand in hand. And that's even what this says here. Where is it at? Yeah, all we know is that something bad happened during that interim time, which had some sort of new addition to the communities, presumably go rogue and scar up Michonne and Daryl and possibly others, which is why Michonne is so mistrustful of newcomers. Michonne also talks about how she had to make a hard, unpopular decision to save everyone, which is what led to the community split in a feud with Maggie, even though when we last left them in the Rick era, they seemed to be getting along just fine. Now, that's the part I just can't grasp what the hell it is. And it is a little frustrating because when you look at what it could be, some of it just doesn't line up. It doesn't seem to make any sense. I don't know, man. But again, if you have any last minute additions, the video's in a stage where in a couple days it'll be out and I can make some edits to it. So if you have like a banger of an idea, put it down below. I'll try to skim through the comments before I finalize the video and I'll make a couple edits. But again, this is for the Scar video on their back end, the best fan theories out there so far. So add any additional thoughts down in the comment box. Next up, little article about Enid being mad about Negan. Not much here other than the fact that Enid would have sided with Rick to keep Negan rotting in jail, and no, she's not going to be happy. He's out because he killed her father figure, Glenn. She had a lot of love for Glenn, and she's not letting that go anytime soon. So because of that connection there, we might even see some type of remix where Enid could take some part of Carl's storyline, but again, with how it would be remixed, that might be a small portion, or it could be a tiny bit from the comic mixed with a big chunk of original stuff because of the different characters in the show. You know what I mean? Enid wasn't in the comic, and it was different with Glenn and Sophia. Sophia was the kid that Glenn was raising with Maggie. It wasn't Enid. So, it would be a slight remix with a bunch of new stuff. Anyway, Austin Emilio, a lot of people are wondering about Dwight coming back, and I'm 100% confident we are going to see him back, and it has to be in this back half. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because that's all that's left. We already watched the first half. No, but seriously, if you look at the storyline, I know a lot of people were like, oh, he can come back any moment now when the Whispers come up. Episode 8, Episode 9, Episode 6, 7, and 8. But the thing is, you have to look at the storyline and what's going on. We had the Saviors beefing with the group, and then Rick and his story and all that, and it just wouldn't even fit. So with the way they had him leave, it doesn't make sense to bring him back yet. You would bring him back, and there'd be no room for him in the pre-time jump storyline with Rick. But then after Rick, we need to see how he comes back. So you can't just start the time jump with him back in the story. So since the story is playing out the way it is, we have some saviors killed by Carol. We have a sanctuary that's full of cobwebs, but now Negan is out. You got the whispers coming up. Now I can start seeing, all right, there's room for Dwight now back in the story. We can start bringing Dwight into the story, and it just has to be at the right time and not squeezed in there again. This could be something where they need more people. It could be something where they find them out on the road. It could be a part of Daryl's story. Again, you're going to have to mix up because he did let him live. If he finds him out there living, would that be an interesting story? I gotta say, I find that damn interesting. Imagine Dwighty boy being in a rough spot, living out there. I mean, maybe he's living out there looking for his wife and didn't find her yet, and she could be the person that they reunite with in the Commonwealth. I mean, that would be pretty badass to take a character like Dwight and mix him in a big way. In the comic, it was Michonne looking for... It wasn't Michonne looking for anyone. It was Michonne going to this new community, and she saw a picture of her on this billboard, and her daughters are looking for her. Again, none of this is happening in the show because obviously Michonne is a completely different character in that way, her backstory. And it was just like this shocker, and then she reunited with her daughter. Now, in the show, we have this Dwight character who I want to see more from. I want to see them do more with him. And if they take him and was looking for his wife, and it's kind of like a downer part of the story, and then Daryl, the person that sent them out there, the person that threatened his life, maybe he finds them out in an area that could be surrounded by whispers. That could be a very interesting storyline for them to go, a direction for them to go, where you get these two characters with conflict. They have a really rocky past, and then Daryl can't leave him out there. He knows whispers are close. He knows they will skin his ass most likely, so he brings him back into the fold. And then, Dwight being brought back into the fold, now you have conflict with Negan. Dwight helped betray Negan and all that, backstory and the history there. There's just so much interesting stuff they could do with that storyline, and I would be damn excited to see them do something similar to that. And then in season 10 or season 11, when they get to the big community, you can have Dwight show up at the gate, and it could be a picture of him. We already saw a photo. We know they have a photo of Dwight and Sherry. She could have taken that from the house, or one like that from the house. I don't know if he took the picture, but she could have had one like that, and it could be a picture of him up on the board, and when they get there, they're like, Dwight, that's you. And then his wife could be there, and that could be the reunion. I don't know. That would be pretty neat, but you guys give me your thoughts and opinions about that stuff down in the comment box. I really like that Dwight one, man. I was supposed to just be like, yeah, I feel like Dwight's coming back in the, last half of season 9. But once I got to talking about Dwight, these ideas popped in my head as far as exciting stuff I would like to see. So, thoughts and opinions down in the comment box. I'm done talking, so it's your turn.